My name is Anna. I'm the facilitator of idtalks. idtalks are series of webinars, of regular online meetings of 90 minutes, which is brought to you by Salto Inclusion and Diversity Resource Center. We are talking about different topics on making youth work more inclusive and diverse. Here with me are also my colleagues, Maria from Salto Inclusion and Diversity Resource Center, the coordinator of our program, the other Maria, who is responsible for our social media management and technical support during this ID talks here with us online, and Olaja, who is our graphic recorder and honestly just the most creative of all of us. We are this autumn talking about ID travels, and ID Talks is taking you on a journey across Europe to hear about different experiences from youth workers who create inclusive international youth projects. We are partnering with the Strategic Partnership for Inclusion and their ID travels that go around Europe in a quest to collect inspiring stories, tips, and tricks from youth workers who implement projects in Erasmus Plus Youth and European Solidarity Corps that are diversity sensitive and all inclusive. Today is our second meeting of this autumn, and we are going to focus on inclusive preparation, preparation of participants and teams. Inclusion is a process and it takes time and effort and a lot of thinking through. In every activity, there is different ways of making them more inclusive and diversity sensitive, but one thing is uncompromisable is proper preparation of everyone involved in the project, from participants to the teams and experts to local community and everybody else involved, to help us to translate the values into practice. Today we are going to talk, we are hosting our guest speaker from Sweden, Abderrahman Assorhani, originally from Morocco, that is already long years in Sweden in an organization that is doing wonderful work on inclusion and diversity. But I will not tell you more about his work in the international division of the organization because I know he has some slides prepared to also present himself. So, Abderrahman, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Anna. Hey, everyone. Salam. I'm very happy to be here today. Very grateful for the team for preparing the ID Talk series. It's very beneficial. I've been to the first one. There's a lot of inspiring stories to hear from, and I think this is very beneficial both ways. So today I'm going to take you on a little journey of Framtidstorget, meaning future train. It's a 27 years of work here in Sweden, but it has been expanding in many different countries. And there is a wonderful story about the team behind it. So I prepared to use some slides. And after I present, we will also open discussions. And if you have more questions, you can ask me. There is availability in the chat that you can ask, and I will be more than happy to answer at the end. So be ready. Let's start. First of all, Framtidstorget is a non-formal, non-governmental organization. So it's an association. It was founded in 1997 by Youssef Yibari. Later on, we will come back to his story. But shortly, he's a Moroccan, came to Sweden as a migrant. He wanted to integrate into Swedish society. And the most inspiring way for him to do that is founding an organization inside his kitchen. So he started working from his kitchen and started connecting with people, especially migrant families and youth. And from there, he started to work. Today, we have three main departments. The first one is family treatments that works with the Swedish social services. So when there is a home abuse or family problem, the municipality contact us to interfere and work with these families. And then we have foster care, where we are receiving minors or children that are needing an urgent housing or long-term housing. So we are coordinating between these minors and also hosting families together with the social services. And then comes the project department, which is the one that I'm involved with, working with for the past 4 years. And it's the one that I'm going to focus more today about. In this project department, we have the international and also the local activities. Normally, what we have is Erasmus Plus. Since 2011, back in Youth in Action, how it was called before, we have been implementing more than 100 activity in Sweden, but more than 30 other countries. And in the most recent years, we have been working a lot in Morocco. And in Erasmus Plus, there is youth Erasmus youth exchanges, training courses, K-Action 2, and other forms of inclusion activities. Same for European Solidarity Corps, also since 2011, and we have been implementing more than 50 mobilities in also Sweden and other countries. Both target groups for both Erasmus Plus and European Solidarity Corps are with fewer opportunities. Then we also work with Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs. Yusuf Yubar is a host entrepreneur, so we commonly receive new entrepreneurs in the office to learn more about how to run a social Swedish organization. We have been doing a lot ESF activities, which is funding from European Social Funds that we have been receiving Ukrainian refugees, but also other refugees from all around the world in previous activities also. And it was mainly educate them and give them practical skills to engage into the Swedish market field. What we believe is that through language, we can have keys to open many doors. So in our office, we are around 25 people between full-time and part-time, and we speak so many different languages. I couldn't even put them here because everyone has a lot of background. And that's also a key that helped us integrate more people, work with more target groups, and reach out to more communities in Sweden, but also in other countries. And also we have a very diverse team. As I explained before, we have the family treatment and the foster care department, and they both have a lot of experts in social work, psychosocial work, and even therapists and drug therapists. And they have received their degrees here in Swedish universities, but also in other universities. And we try to combine the work and the expertise of these departments into our local and international activities. So whoever can bring something to the table is always welcomed, and we always try to share this among one another. And in Sweden, there is something that is called APT, which is a monthly meeting between all the employees, where sometimes we discuss the most practical logistical arrangement of the office, but we also share what we know, and we do training between one another. And if there is something new or a new tool, we share it among one another. So throughout all our work, we have been considering everyone is equal, no matter what circumstances you come from, or which nationality or ethnicity or race or anything that can define a person is welcomed here in the office. And we have been implementing the same concept and vision in all our Erasmus Plus project. So coming to youth exchanges, which is the most common thing that we are working with now, we see it as the best place where we can bring the competences of those young people to light. Many of the youngsters that we work with, they come from suburbs, they come from environments, they are very much discriminated, and they feel that they don't have so much to offer. But when we invite them to office and we sit and we talk to them, there's so much in their pockets to show and to share. So we have been implementing a lot of Erasmus Plus projects where the ideas come from the participants themselves. So Framtidstorget has an accreditation of 7 years, which translates to a big jump in terms of how we implement projects, how we choose the topics, how we choose partners, and how we work with the participants when it comes to period planning, but also the current needs. I don't know if most of you heard about it, but in Sweden there is a huge fashion of criminality and gun violence, and this has become a big hot topic in Sweden. So in the most common years, recent years, we have been focusing on the current needs. How can we bring youngsters out of those environments and bring them to international opportunities where they get more inspired to travel and meet other peers. And it also helped us with admin work and reporting, and with our Swedish National Agency, it has been very effective on how we implement activities and how flexible we can be. So this is a very important thing that helped us even reach out more inclusive and diverse teams and participants. So just shortly to put it for you, I know project cycles are really huge and big, but I try to just summarize it here. When we have a young person come into our activities, we invite them to be part of a new project if they want to, or if they feel like this is something they would love to do. So we invite them to just sit in our office, especially if they are here living in Sweden, and we tell them a project go through this normal cycle, and the cycle can be in a circle. So we always have ongoing project, and we start with a finished project where we have a youngster that has been, for instance, to youth exchange, feels very inspired and motivated and wanted to continue doing this, and they show interest in doing another youth exchange or another local activity. So we tell them, come to the office, and we start planning with them. In the planning period, we prefer that it's presential. We are here in the office. We ask direct question. And we also try to bring other peers from the same target group to sit together so they inspire one another. And what we do is we just guide and facilitate the discussions. We don't bring new ideas. We don't tell them, oh, maybe you should do this or that. We just let them follow the flow, and we guide them through questions that can show what are the needs in their local communities, what are the needs that these youngsters want to explore, and how we can meet those needs through projects, and where can we implement them. And then we discuss all the practical W questions. And the most important part for us is to sit down with them in the planning period and really see in them the intention behind it and why they want to do this and how far they can go with you as an organization to reach out to these learning outcomes. Then it comes to implementing, and in the implementing period, we show them that this project is not one man's project or one man's show. It's a huge team around it. It's actually all the participants of the project. If it's 35 or 40 people, all of them are part of the activity. So how can we implement the activity with the support and the involvement of all these youngsters? If we are bringing 40 people from 6 countries, how can we learn from each single one of them? And how can we provide a platform for them to exchange in a very positive and cooperative way and learn from one another? And then when they go to the projects and they implement it and they get more motivated and more inspiring attitude, how can we disseminate those learning outcomes? We sit down with them also, we tell them, this is how, for instance, you can make a campaign. These are the tools that we use in order to create a campaign and share it online or offline. And in most our activities, we involve the local community, which I'm going to talk about later. And we do open event. At least in every youth exchange, we do 2 to 3 open events where we involve the local community. Sometimes very specific target group, but most of the time it's the local community of the country where we are doing the project. And that's where we conduct the offline campaigns. But we also have sessions where these youngsters themselves prepare their own material and they share it, because for them, it's also a tool to recruit other youngsters. And then it comes to reporting. When it comes to reporting with the youngsters, we focus more on what was the impact of this project? Would you like to do it again? Was it worthy to be part of this team and to go and travel and meet other people? And that's the moment when we get another yes and we go for another project. So this little project cycle, we have been implementing it not just with Erasmus Plus, but also with the European Solidarity Corps. And it has been very effective in growing the target group by themselves. They always feel like ambassadors to Frontis targets. So when they implement projects with us, they always try to reach out to more people who need these opportunities. Shortly speaking about Erasmus Plus Mobility Checklist, we have, for instance, these tasks or guidelines that we discuss with the participants when we meet them, whether they want to be participant or project team member or group leader. We discuss with them how can we implement the project or how can we prepare it. So we speak about the project timeline. We tell them that 4 months before, this is the task we need to do. 2 months, 2 weeks, 1 week before. And all these arrangements, we do it using different tools, online or offline. We use papers, agreements, and then we come to the actual mobility schedule where we have a clear daily schedule of the activities and also the timing. And we tell them, what is an energizer? How can we do it? Can you do an energizer? Here are some ideas of energizers that you can get inspired from. And then we also discuss the sessions and how we can implement the sessions, and also involving the local community. How can we do it? And in which way we can bring them in. So we discuss with them these points here. Later, if you have more questions, I can tell you more how we do them. But it's good for the youngsters to also learn how we put ideas into text and how we take that text into a practical tool, use it, and implement it in a project. The most common thing that make it very easy for them to understand mobility is the schedule. They look at the schedule, they look at the timing, and they look at the amount of work put in every session, and also the logistical arrangements, the transportation, the hotel, the food, and the coordination with the participants and the partners. And they understand the whole journey of each project. And normally at Frontis Target, we have a bigger checklist. It's a one, for instance, Excel file where we put the whole documents and material we need to use to implement and to also prepare projects. And that's something we also give access to the participants themselves. And then when it comes to dissemination activities, we also make a plan with them how to disseminate. But in the most recent projects we have been doing, we actually give access to participants to lead the dissemination activities themselves through our platforms, but also theirs. We give them access to our Instagram page, Facebook, and they have phones, and they can do stories, and they can do reels and post while they are participating in the activities. We make a planning before of the strategy. How can we do it? What is the text we can respect? Which hashtags we use, and which partners we can tag in those activities. And then we spoke also of the impact and the youth pass competences. What do we learn in this project? Why are we here in this youth exchange? What is the main idea behind it? If we enter a youth exchange, how are we going to go out of it? Or how are we going to leave this country? Which ideas will be in our brain to use later on and to develop? So we spoke also of these competences. Of course, we give them the certificates during the project, but we also give them access to reflect more on their learning competences, and they can sit and talk about it more. So yes, concerning the tools, we start working mainly with physical meetings in our office. We are very lucky because we exist in Stockholm and surrounded by 2 schools. And we also have a lot of former participants. So when we invite them to come, they show up. And here in our office, every Tuesday, we have around 6, 7 youngsters come in themselves without even telling them to come. They just go out from school. They come and they sit here and they start talking about all these opportunities that we have. And they are even writing their own project with us. So we invite people to the office. We sit, we talk, we share vision, and that's the moment when we click with one another. Then automatically we invite them to be part of our online platforms such as WhatsApp, or we use Trello a lot. We have Google Workspace where we do all the work online. And we show them how you can, for instance, plan a project or write an activity or something using these digital platforms. And we try to find a very effective way of communication. Most of these youngsters, they don't use emails. So we spoke a lot on WhatsApp. We make WhatsApp group between one another, and we try to find the most effective way for them to be here in our office and talk with us and plan things with them. So when we give them tasks, we know sometimes that these youngsters is maybe their first time here. They don't know what is an Erasmus Plus. They don't know how to handle a task. So we try to know their journey within the tasks and how can we empower them throughout these tasks. And if someone is lacking a skill or a method, we try to facilitate it as much as possible. And we try also to bring a coach or a mentor that is already with us in the office to help them through those tasks. And as I mentioned before, we have social workers and therapists. So if we are struggling with a case or we have an issue that we don't know how to deal with, we always ask help from our colleagues in the other department, which share just the other room next to us. We keep things, of course, private. Every intimate information is private. But whenever we are having a question concerning a case, we try to ask help for that. In the same context, when working with volunteers, we also have mental health support in case the volunteer needs support. So we provide that for the participants. So coming to the main target group, which is the one that we are working with, and this accreditation is actually based on. Throughout the work we have been doing, it's almost impossible to find this target group if we really speak of the target group. Online open course, it's almost impossible for them to apply there and fill questions and so on, talking about Swedish context. And for us, the best recruiter will be their friends or relatives or teachers or someone from their network that can tell them directly, oh, there is a project to go, for instance, to Morocco or to Spain or to Malta and so on. And then they start to be curious. And then we try to bring them here and tell them, yeah, there is this and this and that. And in most case scenario, working with this target group, when they see an open call that says, you're going for free to travel, they think it's a scam. Almost 70% of people who have been to our project told us first contact with the call, they thought it's a scam. But when it comes from a direct friend, they trust it more and they can come and they can ask more questions. So many of them, they don't like to hear that I'm a young person with few opportunity, if it's a little bit discriminatory for them. So we see them as young people with full potential. This is how we talk to them, and this is how we conduct preparation meetings with them. We invite them to share with us whatever they know, to, yeah, go to projects, share what you know with other people, learn from them, and you're given an opportunity where you can become a representative of your own community or your own country, and feel free to be engaged as much as you can. We are not forcing them to be engaged in all parts of preparation. They can be just participants. But if they show a will to do that, we are more than welcome to support. Every former participant in our youth exchange, we consider them an ambassador, because they represent us in their own daily life when they go after projects and they talk to other people about Erasmus Plus and so on. And they are the big potential for us to bring more participants, because youth attracts youth, at least here in Swedish context. For us, we always see a will to give a second and why not a third chance, because everyone can go through tough situations and can have really unpleasant circumstances that they feel they are stuck. So that's the moment we try to interfere, and that's the place where we put the main focus. And the main outcome that we want to reach is develop their personal and professional competences, as well as build a network that they can feel that they are part of it. So here I will tell you a little bit about personal journeys or people that we have been encountering with that really made a big difference in their lives. And I will start with mine. So a little bit background about me. I'm from Morocco and I have been working in the harbor most of my childhood years in order to afford to go to school. But at some point I was almost dropping out of school and I was going to stay in the harbor. And luckily, I got into a conversation with the Swedish ambassador, Knut, who was living in Morocco. He converted and he was staying in my hometown and he was adopting my uncle. So he told me, continue your studies. It's going to be very good if you continue your studies. And somehow in 2012, I became a social mentor to a group of volunteers, which among them is my project coordinator. I would say my boss, but he's the project coordinator and he's the one that I'm going to talk later about. Then in 2016, I had my first Erasmus Plus project. Then I came to Sweden as a volunteer. And then I came as a full-time project manager and coordinator in 22. So today my work is very connected to youth and empowerment and bringing a lot of people together and communities and departments and institutions and focus mainly on empowering youngsters and giving these opportunities to those who really need it. And I'm just continuing the work of Frontis Targets, mainly focusing on Morocco, but also opening to other departments in other countries. The person I worked with in Morocco, he was Sebastian. So he was in Morocco for 2 months. And he was together with 7 other youngsters from Sweden. And it was the first ESC group. And when he came, they built a football pitch for an orphanage house and also a library. So I was there helping out with their daily tasks and bring them from home to the places to work and so on. And in 2017, he became a project coordinator at Frontis Target. And today he's the head of the project department and he's responsible for both local and international projects. And he has been also back to Morocco so many times. And he has been also giving a lot to the local community there, but also working a lot with Swedish youngsters and also refugees coming from all around the world. This is the 2 of us together with the team of volunteers and also Ukrainian colleagues that came to Frontis Target. Later, I will explain how. And then we have, for instance, Shams. Shams, she joined us recently on a special training for young people with fewer opportunities, and she came here as an intern. And while she was staying here, we could see that she is the target group that we are working with. So we thought, let's send her to a project in Morocco. She went to the first one and then she got super inspired and she said, this is something I love to do and I want to be more involved in. So we supported her to become a project coordinator. And then she started even writing her own project with us. And she recently wrote a project that has become a Discover EU project. And they have done a first trip around Europe with 9 youngsters from Sweden. Then we have Anas, who has been also inspired by Shams and Sebastian, and we have sent him in a youth exchange in Morocco. And for the amount of the inspiration he got, he just wanted to go to all Erasmus Plus projects and he wanted to be involved more. So he has become a coach and a mentor with us, and he has been also planning youth exchanges together with Shams and the team here. And he started inviting all the friends he knows in some suburbs here in Sweden, and inviting them to Frontis Target and also join our international project. And the most important thing, he wrote his own solidarity project. It's called Visa Wagon, which is Show the Way. And he has been doing a lot of local activities in Sweden for youngsters. And he has been also inviting his own, I would say, close people that are coming from the same background to be in those projects to get inspired more. And here, for instance, we have been having a session with him together with other volunteers and Shams and Sebastian, and they wrote 11 solidarity project activity. And this is the planning that he was doing before writing his own project. And now it's approved, and he's working together with the team on implementing those activities. Then we have, for instance, Maya. She has been a student of dance in Ballet Academy here in Stockholm, and she had an injury. And in that situation, she didn't know what to do. So she decided, I need to try something different. She found a call that we launched online, and she ended up here in the office with us. And we talked to her about why not do a month volunteering work in Morocco. So she has been there. She has been teaching dance for young boys and girls together, and they made the show. And after the show, she was like, wow, this is so powerful. Can I do this more? And when she came back here, we had another follow-up meeting where we spoke of what she learned and so on. And then she said, can we do youth exchange combining these elements? And we said, definitely yes. So because of the accreditation, we could adapt the needs of youth into youth exchange, but also bring in the expertise of someone who experienced teaching youngsters there. So we end up making a youth exchange, bringing dancers and musicians and filmmakers from the target group themselves, and making a show in Morocco that speaks of diversity and inclusion, and how can we celebrate our differences. And now she has done 2 youth exchanges already. She has become a facilitator, and now she's planning with us the next third youth exchange. And here is just a picture of the show that we made together with all the participants. And this is the second version of it. And you can see the diversity of the people. And every edition, it's 6 countries, bringing so many input from so many different beautiful people. And now, for instance, we have 2 young girls from Sweden going to Morocco to do a training there for young dancers within Solidarity Corps. So what we normally ask them to do is to put their ideas into a Canva presentation, for instance, and bring it here and pitch us with that idea, and then we can try to shape it. So what we did, we invited them to present their own idea to Maya, who has been a volunteer herself, and she also helped them a lot in understanding the most practical things about how to prepare a project there, what are the most common challenges that you will find, and how can you shape it into making it a more successful one. So now we have the 2 new volunteers going for 2 months and the other for 1 month to teach dance, but also to make a film about it and to showcase the diversity and the richness of the city where they will do the project. We have another example. He's Sufyan, who was here for 5 months, a volunteer, and now he's a project coordinator in Morocco, working with our branch organization, and he is already coordinating and facilitating youth exchanges and also hosting European Solidarity Corps volunteering teams. And he has also helped us a lot in building a much bigger community in Morocco. And this is a picture from his facilitation. We have also Daria, who was a student. Her mom also was a student to our practical education in the office. And when we launched the call, she applied. And then she joined us for 8 months volunteering. And then she became a project assistant with us. And she has been helping a lot with the Ukrainian project. So from a student, she became a volunteer, and then she became a professional. And in this case, it wasn't just her, actually. We also had Anastasia and Marina, who themselves have been students in our practical courses. And then they have become project coordinators and then project assistants. And they even wrote their own projects together with us here to receive refugees in Stockholm. This is a short, like a very clear example of how we see people here. We open the house for everyone to come from all nationalities. And in this specific occasion, it was a competition of beauty made out of Ukrainian students who were studying beauty and hair salon here in Stockholm. And this was the final ceremony. This is another picture from Ramadan Iftar. Since there are around 6, 7 Muslims with us here, including me in the office, it was perfect to celebrate Ramadan Iftar every Friday, where we invite everyone to bring their food. So we had people coming from all around the world bringing their own national meals, and we sit and we share, and everyone tell us what is the food about, and we also show them how we eat, how we break the fast, which prayers do we do. So it was a very cultural, inspiring space to also celebrate where we come from. These are more pictures of more individuals that we have been working with, more youngsters we invite to the office, more volunteers we send abroad in groups also. And in Morocco, for instance, we work a lot with social institutions and cultural spaces where we connect all these youngsters to those places. So coming back to the local community part, you could see that, for instance, in Sweden, we have been working a lot with the local community, with the Ukrainians. But when we plan, for instance, youth exchanges in Morocco, we consider the local community as part of the team. We include them in the preparation phase. We give space for them to give us thoughts and how we can invite them to open events and how they can contribute to the richness of the youth exchanges and project. So what we normally do, for instance, is we host dinners and every youth exchange or training courses inside home families. And this is a session of almost 4 hours where it starts with salad, then warm food, and then we have dessert and then tea, and then you have songs and trying local clothes. And a lot of international participants love this interaction because they could see how diverse we are and how rich we are by just connecting and talking and sharing food. A lot of people feel very happy when they share food while at the same time learning more about other cultures and other ethnicities. And we also connect with the institutions that tell us and inspire us more of the social work. For instance, this was an addiction center in Salah, near the capital of Morocco, where they were teaching us more what is the cases here in Morocco. And almost in every youth exchange, for instance, we have outdoor activities, especially the first day where we introduce participants to one another and also to the city. And there's a lot of interaction with the local community, and they have games with them, and they have questions and so on. And all the intercultural nights, we make them as open events to invite families and those people that hosted the dinners, we invite them as well. And we also invite local folk music to share with us a Moroccan culture thing. Yes, and we also split the schedule along activities taking place outside. So we don't stick just to the venue, but we have a very strong connection to local cafes and spaces, for instance, in Morocco, where they bring so much input to the learning outcomes we have planned. And as I mentioned, we have a lot of outdoor visits to people, and there's a lot of inspiring people that give their input as well to youngsters. And this is something that is lacking, especially in modern societies, the interaction between old generation and the new one, especially youngsters and the old generation, is something that we feel it's a must to bring, and it's good to bring a very good idols or role models for these youngsters to be inspired from. And yeah, we have to also try Moroccan style of eating and immersion in the Moroccan culture. And this is, for instance, a session where we had the theater role play where the participants were making a show while we had the fire at the beach. And almost in every youth exchange, we have also a Moroccan folk night where we play Moroccan music and people start to feel, okay, now I'm getting to know a new place, a new culture, and I am challenged to be a little bit uncomfortable with dancing and so on. So this is a picture from one of the youth exchanges we did. As I mentioned throughout my talk, the main impact we try to reach is to make these people feel that they belong and that they are empowered and they are very more confident to be who they are within their own skin. And they all belong to an international family that is safe and open for everyone. And we always try to keep contact with everyone we participate with, whether from Sweden or other countries. we actually have a community group on WhatsApp where we add all the projects there, and they can stay in touch, and they can also join new opportunities that we share there. So I would finish this presentation by saying that we only rise by lifting others. So this is one of the ideal goals we try to reach, that together we are very strong. And within the diversity, there is a lot of richness that we should always celebrate. And we should not be afraid to say, oh, he's different, or he's from this country or this place. No, we are very strong because we are different. So yeah, this is just a small example how come youth exchanges could be very inspiring and very powerful for youngsters, uh, and how we can bring volunteers from very difficult situations to become really strong role models and project coordinators, and how all of this started with a person who was still a migrant, who was trying to find himself in Sweden, and who was trying to integrate in Swedish society. So he thought of building an NGO, which is even an invitation for you, especially those who do not have NGOs. This is the time for you maybe to build your own, and you never know what's going to happen in the next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, or 27 years, as this NGO has been through. And with this, I finish. Thank you very much. And I hope I was quick. I don't know if I respected time, but yes. Now the floor is open for questions, and I'm more than happy to answer.
So one question comes from Camila, and she's asking, when youngsters conceive a youth exchange, how do you select volunteers from other countries? I imagine participants, yeah, from other countries. Do you use open calls? Are the youngsters selecting participants themselves? And how do you do it with your partner organizations? So how do you actually compose the groups for the youth exchanges? I imagine this is the question, and how to do it maybe in a way that is very participatory as well. Yeah, I would add this layer from my side. That is one question. And another question I imagine coming from Maria is about this creating a safe space, and how do you create safe spaces for young people to prepare for the projects, to voice their ideas and opinions, and try to bring in new ideas. So yeah, let's start with these two questions, and if more is coming, great. If no, then we can also have some Q&A afterwards.
Yes. Thank you, Camila, for the question. To start with the first one, we normally do open calls where we give access to all partners. It's one form where we have normal questions, and we make one open call where we ask all the partners to have to invite all their participants to apply, whether they know or not. So they apply through one link, and then in the project team, we open access to the answers, and we go through participants. Every partner selects their own list of participants, and then we communicate with one another, which are the participants that each partner selected, and then we give them the final say, I would say. The most important thing is a participant with fewer opportunity. It is important for us to know that this person has never been to Erasmus Plus, did not feel confident speaking English in public. In Erasmus Plus, there's a lot of Erasmus Plus tourists. So there are lots of people that love to travel just because they want to go to a new place, and still they have good jobs, or they come from good economical background, and they apply for all these types of projects. Today, there's a lot of chat GPT answers. A lot of people just go to chat GPT, copy, paste, and they can tell you everything. So it's hard to say from the answers if this is the real target group or not. But luckily, with the partners we work with, we have a lot of partners who really deal with the target group. For instance, we have a partner in Belgium who works with minors who have been convicted of crimes. So instead of going to prison, they send them to social work in another country. And they follow up with those youngsters when they go back to Belgium, so they know them in person, and they tell us, okay, I have a youth who is really the matching profile that you need, and then we discuss the profile. So we go through this selection when it comes to fewer opportunities, but still, we also have a backup plan, which is the youth attracts youth. When we have an ambassador who has been to a project and they know a participant in their own community or friend zone, they tell us, we have this person. In most case scenarios, they don't apply or they don't have the culture of applying to a project. So we get their WhatsApp number directly. We invite them to come to the office and we tell them, would you like to go? Why? And then we hear a lot of stories. Then you realize, okay, this is the person we need to send to the project. So I would say we have two ways. The most efficient one to reach the real target group is face-to-face, is youth attracting youth. And that's something that we are happy with because we have a lot of youngsters from their own motivation. They come to the office, and most of them come from suburbs that really struggle here in Stockholm, for instance. And we also have partners still in Sweden or other countries that work directly with the target group, including in Morocco as well. As for the second question concerning safe space, there is a huge gap difference between generations nowadays. When you speak of the new generation, this generation of today, they are very much frightened by adults when it comes to institutions or NGOs. If we tell them this is a social work NGO that works with social services, they run away. They say, no, I don't want to be here. So even sometimes the social service concept is misunderstood among youngsters because there's a lot of rumors that social services are tough on families and so on. And there is this, I would say, a mindset among youngsters. But the moment we send one participant to a project and just that one person shares on their social media the actual result and where he has been and how he interacted with people, it makes people trust that person more in the context of this project. So when we invite them to come, we invite them to come together with that person that they trust the most. And even when we send to projects, we try to send them together or with a contact person that they trust more. I will tell you a small example. We had the youth exchange. We sent 13 people from Sweden. We tried to send 2 youngsters with fewer opportunity with one contact person that they trust, and he's a social worker. Then we send another 3 youngsters with another social worker that they trust. Without these social workers, they would never come because we are strangers still for them because they've never been to this project, even though their friend has been. But when you bring them along with a person that they know from before, who is available to also travel, they feel more happy and encouraged to go. And even during the implementation, they respond more to the activities and they are more present and more aware of what's happening in the project. And what's more interesting is when they come back, I meet with them again and I meet with the contact person and we become like a family. They feel so happy to open up and talk about how they are living and so on. And we had a case when a social worker told me that what Sweden is, for instance, spending on these youngsters in a whole year budget could be solved in 1 week project in Morocco. Just in one youth exchange, they felt so empowered. And we had youngsters sitting with us, telling us directly that, wow, people in Morocco, they don't have anything in the table. They have no money, no resources, no jobs, but they're super happy. They are very motivated for life. They want to change things. But here in Sweden, we have so much in the table. We have access to all institutions, but we have zero motivation. We don't do anything. We just complain and complain and complain. So to have a youngster telling you that, it meant that they felt safe to say that and to talk from a vulnerable situation, telling us how they feel about life. So yeah, we also have a hangout area in the office. So we have sofas. Now together with Sebastian, we're trying to build a TV where they can play. And that would make them more encouraged to be more present in the office and invite more people. But definitely they feel much safe when they come through their relatives and friends.
So in our group, we briefly introduced ourselves, but a question that popped up, mainly is not really inherent with the discussion today, but the question was about the possibility to meet other partners and build future partnerships. Is there from your side? I don't know exactly, so that didn't come from me. So, but if there's the chance in the future to, if there are trainings or the possibility, and how to keep an update, maybe where to look for these opportunities for new organization, or there are not partners within this framework, let's say.
Okay, let's take all the questions and then give the floor to Abderrahman to address all of them together. Thank you very much for your question and your group work, Camila, and your roommates. Other groups, anything that you would like to bring to our attention?
Hello. We had a discussion about a writing project. I think with Annie, she had a question regarding that, but maybe if not the right question, feel free to ask. And I also had a specific question of how to add an inclusive cost if, for example, you have participants with special needs like disability, or how do incorporate that into writing a project and regarding deadlines, or I'm not sure about the process.
Maybe just before you answer, Abderrahman, I want to say that we will have a specific ID talk next week, I believe, where we will focus a lot on administration, and we will have somebody from the National Agency and Inclusion Officer. We will talk about costs then much more precisely, but then definitely feel free, Abderrahman, to bring an example from your own experience. Thank you very much. Generally, language learning, language support, how do you prepare young people to be in an environment that is not speaking the language that they know? And how do you make sure they can make the best of their experience in these circumstances? I think this other question about young people with disabilities and organizational support, if you have an example, please share. If not, definitely this is the topic for our next ID talk in 2 weeks from today. Then we also had a question regarding what kind of projects you generally do. I think there was a question whether you do any projects on climate change and environment, sustainability, and generally maybe you could share a link, Abderrahman, in the chat with your organization's social media or website that maybe our participants could follow or also get in touch with. So maybe we can go through all the questions, and in the process, I also have a couple. So if we still have time, I would appreciate if me and Maria, we can jump in with our own questions. You have the floor.
Thank you very much. I have put some notes here concerning the questions, and if I miss something, please just remind me. So the question of the partners in Salto Youth, there is the tool where you can reach out to partners. There's a big list of partners from all around the world. This is more connected to Erasmus Plus, mobilities for young people or youth workers. But also there is accredited organizations within ESC if you also want to work with ESC partners from all around the world. With our accreditation, what we have been doing is focusing on long-term partners who share the same working methods, but also same vision, and we work for the same target group. And we focus on those long-term partners. Since 2011, we have been working with a lot of partners in many different countries. But it requires us maybe 1 or 2 youth exchange to understand if this is a long-term partner that we want to work with, or we have different work vision or work style that we cannot continue the coordination, or we can do some other types of project. But so far we have very good experiences with our long-term partners from Morocco mainly. It was founded also by the same founder here in Morocco, and it was founded in 2007. So many years of work within also Erasmus Plus and ESC. Same thing for France. We have also branch NGO in France. We have a very good partner in Belgium, in Portugal. So we try to focus on those. But in every youth exchange, we try to bring 1 or 2 new partner that we give, give them the space to be our partner, for them to see if it's good to work with us. And we try always to support them, introduce them more to Erasmus Plus. And in most case scenarios, we also invite them to write projects with us. We have the accreditation, so what we only do with them is to just design the idea and to focus more on the target group. So we have, for instance, next month we are bringing 2 new partners that we have never worked with. We are going to do youth exchange with them. And we have clearly stated this is the target group we work with, and this is what we want to focus with on. Of course, on the deadline of October or February, we receive a lot of requests from a lot of partners. So sometimes we have to be very selective of who we say yes to. Sometimes you just need to log into profiles of these NGOs to see how heavy their work is. And sometimes you can work with completely fresh new organization to give them a support and to provide assistance and help whenever is needed. We have been also doing capacity building programs for youth NGOs and fresh ones. So there is an email in the presentation to reach out to me. And if you have a new idea and you want to bring a new project and you want to have a new partnership, we can also discuss that. You can just email me. Yes, I hope I answered your question. But maybe the team of Salto can also share the link to Salto, where you can also find partners. It's very beneficial. I worked with it a couple of years back. Concerning the idea of writing project, how to write a project, I think it's a very, I would say, very individual journey between each NGO and each national agency and its objectives and goals. But the main idea I would say that you need to focus on is the learning outcomes. If we are going to receive a budget, how can we translate this budget into a learning that someone gets inspired with and can take it with him or her to other careers and other journeys? And that just that effect or impact, you need to really know how to reach it with logistical arrangements, with content creation, with non-formal education, with bringing expertise and people together and put it into a text. Unfortunately, there's a lot of ChatGPT nowadays. There's a lot of people that put really quick work in writing applications. But I would say focus more on sitting with people, thinking together what could be the best thing we can bring as a youth exchange for people to learn from, and how can we turn that into a text and an application. The first thing that I would recommend to start with is a guideline of Erasmus Plus. There's almost 500 pages, but you don't have to read all of it. Just focus on the application you want to go for. If it's a youth exchange, then read more about what is a mobility for young people, what are the main objectives that the EU Commission requires in NGOs, and what are the quality standards that you should meet, and how can you bring real impact using these funds. And from that, you start on forming the idea with the partners you collaborate with, and with also understanding who is the target group and why do you want to target that specific one. Just asking yourself these questions, you will get a lot of answers and speculations of what could happen in the future. And that's what you can take into an application. As a method we use here, we start with the 5 W's: why, when, how. We do this more or less with all the participants we have. And we try to give them some small support and guidance in For instance, if you do this session, people would feel like this, and at the end of the project, they want to do it again. So we just guide them through. But when it comes to text, it requires also a little bit of social background and psychological background, understanding how to work with young people, what can impact them more, and how we can bring that into one whole pack. There is a mobility. I hope I answered this. Coming to the disability or inclusion support, yes, there is inclusion support in all projects funded by EU. In the inclusion support, there is so many, like a big variety of needs that could be met in project, and there is a special funding that goes for it. For instance, I give you just a small example. We had a youth exchange in Morocco where we had people with physical disabilities. They didn't have psychological disability, but they couldn't move, so they always needed a wheelchair. But the problem is in Morocco, the venue where we were doing the project was lacking accessibility. So we asked for inclusion supports to build accessibility entrances in the building where these young people can go there without support from extra people. So we got an inclusion support to build like a frame where they can go directly to the building without extra support. Of course, it was still difficult for them to go to the hotel or go to other venues on their own, because as a country, we are still lacking a lot of accessibility entrances and spaces for people with disability. But at least the inclusion support we got facilitated a big part of the venue participation. Yeah, just when you are in the writing of the application, make sure you know exactly the disability or the needs of the target group and put it in a clear text. We're gonna need this much of budget because we want to provide this kind of material to make the participation of this young person accessible and inclusive. And also keep receipts of all those costs because you will have to submit them at the final report. Okay. And then we have Anna. You mentioned the questions from the group about language support and how we prepare young people to be present in projects if they don't speak the language. Of course, in Erasmus Plus Youth Exchanges, we don't expect participants to know English really by heart or be an expert in that. So we welcome everyone. It is actually a great opportunity for them to be exposed to such a place to learn and to be motivated to learn English. And this is actually one of the reasons why we bring them from the first place. So what we normally do is we invite them to sit together with someone who can translate, who is also a participant in the project, and we prepare them before that you are a participant, but at the same time, we would like for you, if you can support this person to understand the context of the project. For instance, if we have a training course or a whole youth exchange with the majority don't speak a language, then we have a translator in the spot. In our team members, we speak so many different languages, so sometimes it's us translating, and sometimes we hire a professional translator. We had it maybe once or twice before, where we also provide support to those who need live translation. But the best effective way is if you are selecting 6 people, for instance, from France, and you are sending them to a project, try to find at least one person can translate for 2 and one can translate for 2 others. So that's 6 people in total, 2 speak English and 4 speak only French. And then they get a direct translation while in the project. And they can communicate that in the beginning of the project so people don't think that they are speaking behind the back, but there is actual translation of what the facilitator is saying. And this has been working very efficient with us. And even when they also ask questions, they ask in their own language and we translate it. Yes?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that would be all the questions from the chat. One question that we with Maria were kind of discussing, and maybe it's our organizer's privilege to ask it maybe. How do you prepare yourselves as a team? Because you work with different young people, it is a lot of emotional, physical, uh, challenges to deal with such diverse backgrounds, so many young people that are coming from different deprived communities. How do you prepare yourselves to continue doing this work, or before every project maybe?
Very good question. I think this is due to the nature of this NGO in general. So how we met here was also very, I would say, very unique and a little bit complicated, but unique, because most of us at some point in our life have met in project and have exchanged with one another a lot of learning and a lot of inspiration to do things together. For instance, I met Sebastian back in 2012, and that's when also I met with Yusuf, the founder. And in 2016, I met with my first Erasmus Plus teacher in Christina. And Christina was the founder of the project department with Yusuf. And she has been the same person that sent Sebastian to Morocco. So it's a really crazy story to understand. But we all come from very diverse background, diverse profiles, and all of us somehow connected to Yusuf and the work he's doing, and we believed in it, and we shared the same values. So when we bring someone here, we say, this is a young person who needs support, no matter where they come from. Maybe he got a chance, he lost it. He got a second one, he lost it. Now we're going to give him a third chance or even more. And whatever case or scenario he's struggling with, let's try to analyze it and try to support that. In Sweden, it's a very different culture to South Euro-Mediterranean countries, because here we are more into ourselves, we are more close to our own spaces. But in our office, it's the total opposite of that. Everyone is very open. You come in, you get a feeling of Arabic culture. There is Arabic music, or there is a very mixed food. We have a kitchen with tables and chairs, so everyone who comes in shares food. We don't say, "Oh, this is my food." No, everyone is open to share. So the nature of Framtidstorget is based on opening the doors for everyone. There is no walls between us, and we can always communicate. If we don't speak the same language, maybe we would communicate a different way. So we try to do that in our practical daily work. Between us, we meet once every week, almost every Tuesday we meet. And between all the employees, we meet once every month, where we, catch up and mingle and so on. And then when we have someone come in here, we always take them on a tour to meet all the people in the office and see all the diversity we have. This happens with everyone. Whoever comes in first time, we take them on an office tour. And then they feel safe, they feel welcome, they feel that everyone comes from everywhere. So maybe they connect more with that person, and then they feel more safer. And that make them feel emotionally safe to be with us. Then we start talking of practical things, of projects and so on. Of course, sometimes it's overwhelming, because you might have here 20 people sometimes, and everyone has different needs, and everyone wants to reach something. And you have to figure out how to make them all join the same journey and be happy together. But in most case scenario, we try to make the connection, especially the first one, very easy going, very flexible. We are all equal. We all share the same values, and we all want oneself to be supported and empowered. So yeah, more or less.
Thank you very much. I think our previous speaker, Morgan, was saying that we don't have to be like-minded, but we need to be like-valued, and this is really helping in our work. So to close the day, I want to remind that there was somebody working all this time behind the scenes tirelessly to bring a visual depiction of today's talk. So Olaja, now is your moment to shine. And I know I'm aware we are a couple minutes into after our time, but maybe just a short recap of what you have been able to capture.
Yes, I hope you can hear me, and I will start sharing the visual. You see?
Yes, we see you and
Nice.
we see the visual as well.
Nice. So yeah, short recap. I will not steal your time. Very interesting to hear the very details of how daily life in an organization can be, and what are these little moments of really exactly as I've shared, that to show someone around the office, to invite them for a tea, to sit down. In this case, to really invite young people to bring with their people of trust, to give them space to initiate their own ideas. And then yeah, it's very very good that organizations can have this flexibility, sometimes these schemes that allow for this flexibility, where the magic happens, and then when all this curiosity from young people and their real needs can be satisfied and can emerge into following ideas. So for me, I think what I kept is this idea of a cycle, that every end is a new beginning, and a lot of this participation cycle that all the team in the organization has went through. I think it's very representative of what's the drive behind. So this is it for now, and everyone will get the visual as well in their emails in a few days. So it was a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Olaja. You keep astonishing us every single time. So we are closing our today's ID Talks with the hope to meet in 2 weeks on the next one on ID Travels. But before we go, maybe Abderrahman, if you want to say a couple words of goodbye, and then we will adjourn.
Yes, I want to start by saying shukran, Olala. Shukran is thank you. Thank you very much. It's really wonderful to put that into one place. And I also want to say thank you to all the audience being present here with us. I always believe that the change in the world happens because we all believe in that, and every little change can make the world a better place. And I feel very happy and very motivated and inspired by seeing so many motivated people being here present, asking questions, being engaged. It shows that there is still a lot of hope in this world. So I'm very happy. There is my email and my WhatsApp number there. Feel free to reach out to me if you have more questions. Our office in Stockholm is very open. So if you ever come to Stockholm, you are more than welcome to come here, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. And we have a lot of, we have actually Discover EU projects coming soon. Maybe we're going to do it after Christmas, and we're going to travel around European countries with youngsters. We would love to come by and say hi if you are in some countries. So I will share with you also the Instagram page, because from there we communicate to everyone. It's called Future Train International. And from there, we also make open calls, and we invite also partners to join us if they want to. And I hope that my presentation was light and beneficial, and you got an inspiration and you got some new ideas. And I wish you all the best and good luck with those writing your project. All the best from my side.
Thank you very much. And we hope to see you back in 2 weeks, dear participants. So goodbye for now. Bye-bye.